Welcome back to the channel. Your patience has paid off. I'm excited to talk about this today. Solar power. All things solar. Installing and using the 1200 watt Powertrak system. Okay, that's 1200 watts. So there is 6 200 watt solar panels. There's 900 amps of lithium battery power, 3000 watt inverter charger. It's amazing. And all of this plays together, along with, of course, solar controllers. I'm taking a moment inside the travel trailer. You've seen me on the roof. I wanted to pause briefly and give you the big picture for this solar install. 3 major points I want to cover, okay, when we look at this Powertrak 1200 system install. So we're thinking the number one thing, solar collection, right? Our solar panels. How are we capturing the sun? We need some way to get the sun's energy, right? Number 2, solar storage, okay? Storing that potential power through solar controllers, converting it to energy. Where are we going to put it? We need a battery system. The last thing we need to think about is how do we get to that power that we've collected and stored? So our solar controllers, we're going to look at how that wiring affects our storage of it. And then how do we actually access the power itself? And that's through our inverter and converter system. That's going to let us access the DC and the AC appliances we need, whether it's a DC fridge or an AC fridge, your internet, your Wi-Fi, your Starlink, your laptop, whatever it is that you need to power, you're going to have to pull that battery reserve to do so. And so we're going to talk about that as well. So those are the 3 major sections. Wanted to give you a rough idea of where we're going, and then we're going to jump around within each section because I want to be able to show you a bunch of behind the scenes footage of me actually installing it. First thing we want to think about, the solar panels themselves, right? Where am I going to place the solar panels? I just want to show you how I think about putting the solar in. Straightforward in my mind, something to think about. Use the cardboard templates that come with your solar panels. Use them as a guide while you're thinking about where the panels can fit. Really helpful, very light, easy to work with. You're not going to hit anything. They do have 90-degree corners and they're made of metal. So be sensitive to that. I went ahead and brought the panels up first and used them to lay out a bit. And then I'm going to put on the mounting brackets that you see here. These are the brackets that come with it. It's a single bolt and nut with 2 washers in between and very straightforward. You can use a wrench, a driver socket, whatever you have to put it together. Just make sure they're nice and tight. Give them that extra snug. You don't want them moving. Then we're going to go ahead and gently take them up, flip them down once we have the exact spot we want. I'm going to put a little piece of Butol tape under each foot. That's going to help seal and stick the bracket. On top of that, I'll put the screws in, and then I'll go ahead and put the self-leveling, or depending on your installation, the non-self-leveling sealant over all of that to protect it from any water intrusion. So that's how I'm thinking about the solar. Laying out, making a plan, thinking about where the panels are going to be positioned, and also where the wiring and where the entry gland is going to come into my rig or my vehicle. Just to walk you through the steps we're doing on the solar gland entry into the roof, right? We got to get our cables into the roof just like so. So, preparation, I need a razor. I have a rubber type of fabric material. I got to cut a little hole, and that helps me cut out the hole the size of my core drill, just so that I'm not tearing the fabric and it splits away from the hole. So I kind of rough in where I want the drill bit to start, and then I just circle and use the razor to cut out the material around it. So I'm only cutting into the wood when I start drilling the hole, and I'm not tearing the fabric all around it. So we're going to cut the 3rd hole. We've measured it out. We've prepped where we need it to go, and we're going to drill our 3rd hole, and off we go. Punching the last hole in. Good. Right there, there's our core. Then we're going to go ahead and swap bits. So I use another bit. There are many ways to do this task. I'm choosing the quickest. So I've determined that there's an open space through the ceiling of each hole. So I'm just pushing each hole straight through and not trying to run the cables through the ceiling, which I can't see or access very conveniently. So that's what we're doing there. All right, a little bit of insulation for good measure. All right. And that's it. We're going to go verify the hole inside and then finish up on top here. A lot of different ways to do this. I can't see this. I didn't want to take the whole panel off. I didn't want to cut some multi-channel and try to fish it through. There's a beam here. I was initially going to reach through here and just fish them along. There's a aluminum support in the trailer. So without cutting a huge new hole, it doesn't matter to me. Again, it's about the bigger plan, so you assess everything is important. I'm just creating nice little square holes, and then I'm just going to create a little easy peasy cover to go right along them, and then the wires are going to travel down along there, get tapped into there, run through the back of the cabinet, boom, and down into the garage space. So there you go. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pre-straightened these wires. They come all corded up tightly, and they're very prone. They're long, so they're very prone to just tangle up on themselves. So take the extra minute, straighten out your wires when you have long wire runs. Here, final installation. This is the test fit. Going to go ahead and some foam into those holes, and then butyl tape. Okay, butyl tape is going on. It's very sticky. Be aware. Double it up when you need. You'll see I'm taking my time to try to cut it as close to exact. And then again, when you're tightening it down, once you've got all the butyl tape laid out and stuck, I like to put it in with the screw gun, but then I always like to hand tighten to finish. Especially with the tape, it will compress itself, so I like to go back 2 or 3 times with the screwdriver and just gently snug everything up as it settles and fills all the voids. It works really well, easy to work with. Just be aware, as soon as it starts sticking to something, it can be quite hard to get off. So be sensitive as you're measuring and applying it. Okay, final takeaway. Here's the butyl tape down. We've screwed it in. You've seen how that's all worked. Here's the process of putting down your choice of, in this case, self-leveling sealant, along with I needed to prime the TPO roof. All right, let's wrap it all up together and go back to the roof and explain how the final panels work together in series, and then move to the next section. Right? The more planning you can do, it's going to make the end result way easier, right? So here we have 3. So those are the back 2 panels of the rig, 2 middle 2 panels, and number 1, the front 2 panels. And this is wired and also written on the cabling throughout the entire system, all the way down into the battery terminals, right? So if I'm ever worried, if I ever have to pull out my little DC voltmeter or tester, there's a problem, I know exactly what wire anywhere in this rig runs down to that battery. At the end of it all, right, you be thoughtful about how you're going to be managing your cable runs, right? Where's all the cables going to go? And just be thoughtful about how that works together. So, see this? You'll see I've gone ahead and used some zip ties, cut off the sharp ends, and made sure that things are zip tied, right, into the different brackets, so that during the high winds driving, right, this isn't gonna do crazy damage or do crazy rubs. And you'll see it's just a little dirty underneath, but no damage, no rubs. We've seen the roof installation, the solar panels, the solar glands that bring our wiring cables down into the rig. What's the next thing we're going to talk on? Those batteries, right? Where are the batteries at? So let's jump in. I want to show you the 300 amp advanced lithium batteries, talk about those a little bit and how they connect in and go into my garage, aka my little pass-through area that I've converted. And then the last thing we'll touch on is all of the stuff that is stored in that pass-through area, the solar controllers and the charger inverter, the IC3000, along with all the wiring. And I'll try to explain what I think about when I think about wiring and disconnects and bus bars. And hopefully it gives you an idea when you think about a complete system. This is something you can do. I've mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. It can seem overwhelming. You look online, you look around, and everyone is doing installation, and you're saying to yourself, maybe I'm not as handy. There's so many resources available. If you're willing to learn and you're willing to be patient with yourself and take a little time, you can install these systems. All right, that is the end of part 1, the solar panel installation.
Join me for solar storage, looking at our power reserve, our battery system installation.